in the
John's
board.
sideboard.
Yep. Nothing that I'm seeing that's he'll be able to bring in flash freeze, but only a one.
The players are on your screen now, so it looks like John Winters is on the right of your screen playing blue-black control, and Chris McCord on the left.
Yep, that's a Lavamancer to start off for Chris.
So for those of you who are just joining us, I'm Brian Kibler, currently joined by Jared Silva here at the Star City Games Open Series in Atlanta. We're in round 4.
Inquisition of Kozilek's going to take away a Shrine of Burning Rage, but you've also got another Lavamancer, and then it looks like, I think that's the Phoenix.
There's a Phoenix, a Lightning Bolt, and a Lavamancer,
yep,
is what it looks like.
Yep, and 2 lands. So it doesn't look like Chris is going to run out of gas early. Got a whole lot going.
So what John really needs to do here, he needs to... The most important cards for him here are Grave Titan and Consecrated Sphinx. He needs to land some of his powerful 6-drop permanents that can close out the game. Because, I mean, Chris's deck, with the combination of Shrine and Phoenix, has the ability to actually win long games pretty well. Phoenix is a pretty tough card for a blue-black control deck to deal with, because all of your removal spells just delay the inevitable. Just delay the Phoenix coming back.
Yep. And so we've got a second Grim Lavamancer from Chris, while John looks to be building up his board. That looked to be a
So looks like he has a
Tectonic Edge, I believe.
Yeah,
is
a
the
Tectonic
card
Edge.
on top.
Looks like Tectonic Edge Island
Drowned
Catacombs
Yep,
for John.
because the Catacombs came down for the Inquisition last turn. Looks like we're going to see that Phoenix, and here it comes.
And 4 damage. Oh, no, 3 damage. Doomblade takes out that Lavamancer, which is actually oddly good news for Chris, because that means he's not going to get Black Sun Zenith next turn. Looks like John drew a Jace Balerin. If he had drawn a Jace the Mind Sculptor, it would have been a lot worse for him, because it's banned.
Yep.
So Jace draws McCord.
You've got to think that Jace is just going to die this turn, right?
Well, it's I don't know how much damage Chris has in his hand. This is actually something we saw in round 1. Charles Gindy was playing a relatively similar matchup. He's playing against Cobblade, and he chose to just always aim his damage at his opponent. When you're just trying to add up to 20, a lot of times you don't want your opponent to just get the extra life from you killing their Jace. The extra cards they get will often just sit in their hand. You're not trying to play a long game against them. You're trying to kill them.
Especially with John stalled at 3 land, he may, and that could not have been a Terramorphic Expanse if he was tapping it.
I said Tectonic Edge, not a Terramorphic.
Oh,
Expanse.
Tectonic Edge.
Nope. Yeah.
Sorry.
So, see, in this situation, it looks like Chris has another land in his hand, which means that he's relatively low on gas. I think you actually may want to kill Jace here, because with his opponent low on land, killing the Jace and you being low on action as well, the Jace is going to be what he needs to feed him land. So,
and that Grim Lavamancer's only got 1 activation in the graveyard right now. Obviously, as we go forward,
it just goes toward John's face.
Leaving that Lavamancer up. Oh,
no, okay. He is still killing
Jace out.
So it looks like John drew Inquisition. He has another Jace in his hand, I believe. And I think what he needs to do here is actually just play that Jace and draw a card. He can't hope to win sitting here on 3 land.
There's one deck in this matchup that can win off of 3 land.
Into the Royal.
And it is...
Okay, Into the Royal Despise. So Despise takes the Lavamancer,
showing Lightning Bolt and Burst Lightning and land.
So Chris untaps, draws his card, sends the Phoenix. I'm telling the future because I just knew that was going to happen. It looks like he drew an Arid Mesa. So I think actually Chris, he could theoretically just burst with Kicker there, but then he leaves his Bolt open to getting Inquisition. Now he just gets to respond with both. I think you actually just respond with both burn spells here.
Yeah.
Just make him miss.
You're just going to lose one of them if you don't do that.
Yep.
So you get your 5 in here, but that Inquisition saves John 2 life. So that should bring John down to 7, I believe. Passing back over. Yeah, might as well
Phoenix
just leave that tapped, Chris. That's just going in anyways.
And a Shrine of Burning Rage. That's one of the tougher cards for blue-black control to deal with, period.
Thumbs up from John. I don't think that was the traditional thumbs up.
That was more of a okay, it's in there.
Oh, and there's land number 4.
Looks like it's another Tectonic Edge, though.
Yep.
Which is not going to be able to cast many spells.
Chris is going to get another land out of his deck.
In John's deck, he only has 2 Into the Royals that can possibly remove a Shrine of Burning Rage from play. So he's already burned one of those, bouncing the Lavamancer to despise it. So that Shrine is very likely just going to kill him. Assuming the Phoenix doesn't do it first. Or his draw step here. And there's another Phoenix. And
that seems a lot like it's time to go.
So, unsurprisingly, the blue-black control deck was unable to win the game where it only had 3 land. And now we're going to the sideboards. How do you think these players are going to sideboard here?
Well, John, we were looking, has the Batter Skull, which if he can get it to stick, definitely just is problems all around for the mono red deck. He's got a flash freeze.
Thirst.
Yep.
Wow.
Now the question is, does he think all he saw were the Phoenix and the Grim Lavamancer? So does he think he's got enough targets to want to be bringing those in?
I mean, I would, if I have Sorin's Thirst on my sideboard, this is why. So, I mean, it's actually, I remember when I was working on blue-black control for San Juan in the block format, and Last Kiss was a card that I was thinking of playing. And Sorin's Thirst is very similar to a Last Kiss. I actually remember when Sorin's Thirst was first spoiled, I was like, oh, it's just Vicious Hunger. And then I was like, no, actually, it's just better than Vicious Hunger because it's an instant.
Yep.
And being an instant is very important against a deck like this, where there are, 11 haste creatures? So
there's plenty of them.
So here, I mean, John gets to bring in 3 copies of Sorin's Thirst. He's certainly bringing in his Batter Skull and his Wormcoil Engine. I imagine probably his Flash Freeze.
Yep. Since it's a hard counter in this matchup, I can't imagine there's a good reason not to.
As far as his weaker cards, Black Sun Zenith is pretty poor. I would probably board out my Karn given the matchup.
You got to think that that's probably not the end game that you want to be trying for. You're hoping for a Grave Titan.
Consume the Meek is similarly
into so much.
Yeah, Consume the Meek is similarly unimpressive. Given that he's bringing in Sorin's Thirst, he wants to be able to 1-for-1 these creatures. He's not trying to gain card advantage by killing multiple creatures. He just wants them dead. Mana Leak is also pretty poor here. I mean, his Into the Royals aren't that exciting, but they're his only real way to deal with Shrine of Burning Rage. Yeah, so I don't think he can afford to take them
Duress. Is he going to want to bring that in?
I don't think Duress is really a great choice here. I mean, we saw how in that last game how Despise was just pretty bad for him.
Yeah,
he had to use Into the Royal to be able to even use the Despise at all. I would probably take out 2 Despise. Black Sun Zenith, a Consume the Meek, and some number of Mana Leaks. Bring in my Sorin's Thirst, Wormcoil Engine, Flash Freeze, and Batter Skull.
All right, so we're looking at about 6 cards in and out for John, but what are we looking at for Chris?
For Chris, we have not much that's all that exciting in his sideboard. He has Active Aggression, but, I mean, granted, Chris's deck is actually very well set up for this matchup in Game 1. If he knows his opponent has Batter Skull, he might want some number of Manic Vandals. Some of his burn spells, like Searing Blaze, is pretty bad here.
Yep.
He hasn't seen any targets for Searing Blaze out of John's deck. So I can imagine wanting to take out Searing Blaze, maybe bring in a Sword of War and Peace to make any of his creatures threatening, maybe bring in some number of Manic Vandals, but he doesn't have that many good options in his sideboard.
Yep, the Dismembers just aren't big enough to do anything.
Yeah, Dismember
they don't kill any of the creatures that you care about.
I mean, interestingly, I can actually see taking out Searing Blaze and bringing in Volshock Refugee just because it's a creature that can attack.
Guy. Yep.
It's just a guy that gets in there, and Searing Blaze just doesn't do enough.
And he didn't see the Solemns that he might need to get out of the way with the Searing Blaze, and even then, that's just
right. I mean, Searing Blaze is just
your best option with Searing Blaze.
Absolutely, Searing Blaze is just it can so easily rot in your hand in a matchup like this that you really can't particularly afford to have them in your deck at all.
So if you want to just pull those 4 Searing Blazes out, I've got to think you take in the 2 Active Aggressions, and then maybe the Sword and a Volshock Refugee.
Yeah, I mean, Active Aggression is sort of a weird card because it's another card that's especially given that what we're fighting against is Grave Titan rather than Primeval Titan or Inferno Titan. Even if you act a Grave Titan, you haven't gotten much of anywhere. It's only really Consecrated Sphinx that you're like keeping them from drawing 2 cards and you're doing some damage, but you don't want to get to that point. You don't want to get to that point because you have active aggression in your hand. I think I would generally rather have Volshak Refugee, maybe the Sword of War and Peace, just to make any of my guys threatening. But I mean, this is sort of interesting because we saw the other mono red decks earlier in this tournament who had full sets of Burst Lightning or Forked Bolt and didn't have Searing Blaze. Searing Blaze is certainly better in the matchups where your opponent has targets for it that are generally going to be in play, but it definitely puts you in an odd spot against decks like Blue-Black Control.
Yeah, certainly does. So John leads off with a Creeping Tar Pit. Chris uses Arid Mesa to fetch out a mountain for his Goblin Guide.
So did Guide lead John to any lands? I don't think so.
Guide did not grant John any lands. I'm not sure what we saw there. It was a quick flip. Swamp follows up.
And
Teetering Peaks
is going to. Oh well, there's a go for the throat in top. Oh, when it's not fast enough.
Yeah.
So John actually
can't cast it from there.
John actually gets hit again, gets mana leaked. The Lava Mancer gets mana leaked. So John drawing that go for the throat and preordaining.
Looks like he's got lands there. Already got lands in his hand, but he's got to.
Well,
he's got to not miss land drops.
Well, he also wants to get a land from the Goblin Guy when it attacks. If I were Chris, knowing that my opponent has go for the throat in his hand, I just would not attack with my Goblin Guy when he set his library like that with Preordain. There's no reason to. He's obviously using his mana on it this turn. You just don't want to give him a free card.
Yep. Unless you got something you really want to follow up with, because you know that he's got plenty of, and it looks like Chris is gonna.
Oh well, he attacks
give
anyway.
Him a land,
so
give away a Teetering
land
Peaks
and
get go for the throat.
Oh, and it was a Teetering Peaks too.
Jeez. I mean, that was a lot to go in when you knew that guy was just.
Yeah, I mean,
likely to be dead.
Yeah, I don't agree with that play, but I mean, he does want to get that go for the throat out of his opponent's hand, and if he were playing something like a Shrine of Burning Rage there that he wanted to protect from a mana leak, I could totally agree with that. But he's only resolving an Ember Hauler.
Yep. And Chris had another land in his hand, so he didn't have to use the peaks. If he wanted to try and tempt him to use the go for the throat there to try and sneak through a shrine, he could have done it cold, I think. Mm-hmm. I don't think you needed to throw 2 extra points of damage away just to get him to blow that go for the throat.
He may actually, it looks like he's going to try and play a hero this turn. And his hero is being able to resolve hero this turn is more important than potentially getting the 2 extra damage from the Teetering Peaks. So I think that he definitely wanted to play Teetering Peaks last turn, given the way that he wants to curve out, if that's his only way to get to 4 mana this turn. But I probably actually still wouldn't have attacked. One of your creatures is dying to that go for the throat regardless, and he left cards on top of his Preordain, so he's going to get a free card.
If he wants to not go for the throat your guy and leave that 2 up later,
right? Exactly.
You'll take that all day long.
You're choking them on mana. If the Blue-Black Control player is not spending his mana, he's getting very far behind. He needs to spend all of his mana each turn to keep up with you to get to the point that he can play his powerful.
And that hero runs into a mana leak anyways. Mm-hmm. So. Another Drowned Catacombs from John. Passes it back. Ember Hauler gets in again. And we've got John drop down to 11. There's a Burst Lightning. And looks like Chris just has a whole bunch of stuff that he can start throwing at John end of turn. Now, is John going to have the 6th land to start dropping any of his...
It looks like he has a land in his hand. I think that's an island on top, but
an unhinged foil island.
Everyone here are such ballers. Everyone has such the sweetest lands.
That may be the most expensive card in his deck.
And there's Grave Titan.
So no more attacking for you, Chris. We'll have none of this.
Well, now how much burn you got?
Yeah.
Stagger Shock.
Stagger Shock's going to be worth 4. Bolt U is going to be worth 3.
7.
So we're going to drop John
8-9
down
from that.
Yep.
And then do we have another burn spell?
Then down to 4 off of the rebound of the Stagger Shock. And what do we got here? There was a Burst Lightning. to
Yeah,
try and
so
end
there
the
it
game.
is.
Well, there you go.
So Chris McCord takes the match 2-0 against John Winter's blue-black control deck.
And
So-
that was just
Yeah, I mean that was
go to
burn,
the
bur-
head.
hit you, burn you. So that was much of what we were talking about. John